Welcome back to Glitching Gollum. So let's check the collectibles. So the Batwing.
Oh wow, we get to find the bat. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of an actual good Warner Brothers property.
And that's it. That's all you get out of the collectibles. Gollum makes one comment about it, and that's it.
So
okay,
basically,
turn it on. To be fair, Pedro, that's kind of what happened also in the Shadow duology. It was one phrase for Talion and one for Celebrimbor.
So let's read lore about the Shadow Mountains. Gollum in Mordor. Gollum is a strange creature. No shit. Tolkien had trouble fitting him into the Lord of the Rings story after introducing him in The Hobbit with a different concept. Ultimately, Gollum became an ancestor of the current Shire Hobbits. His relatives probably belonged to the Stewar, who dwelled at the Anduin River, where they went boating and fishing, living in this fucking font, and the riverbanks. The One Ring has prolonged Gollum's life unnaturally, but Gollum has also become very strong. He never became a wraith, which shows that he rarely used the ring, and his resilience matched that of a hobbit. Sauron summoned all the dark and foul creatures, calling them to Mordor, as Gandalf suspects. Sauron's call also drew Gollum to Mordor, and while he lingered in the mountains, ultimately, Sauron's henchmen caught him. Sauron did not know about Gollum before, or he would have hunted for him straight away. Whether the Nazgul sensed that Gollum was there lurking in the vicinity of Mordor, we cannot honestly know. However, the Nazgul would have been notified once his presence was detected. Yes, Jova?
Was that the story just admitting that even they don't know why the Nazgul bothered with Gollum?
I guess. As leaders of the armies of the Tower of Sorcery Minas Morgul, they dwelled close to Gollum's hideout. And that's it. That's all lore for the Shadow Mountains.
I got a minute. Match that of a hobbit? He is a hobbit.
I don't know what to tell you.
So, you see, guys, the Nazgul arrested Gollum because we needed the game to happen.
Basically, that's the gist of it.
In case you need to know, what happens actually in the book is that something similar to that, Sauron did not suspect the idea of Gollum, or what Gollum was capable of or anything, but, eventually he was still captured just to with information because it was a strange creature walking around in Mordor, and that's how we got to learn. I get the idea this was just, poorly framed the explanation.
There's the occasional... Sorry, go on.
Like, okay, if I were writing it, even if it wasn't the best explanation, you could easily add a line such as, oh, due to Gollum having some residue energy from the One Ring left on him, the Nazgul took him in suspecting that he might know its whereabouts.
So what you're telling me, Jova, not only did I have to pay extra for the fucking lore compendium, the lore compendium has issues of its own. Great.
So what you're saying is, it's like if you had to pay for the data log in Final Fantasy XIII.
Brilliant. Teo, go on.
I mean, isn't it what happens with the just by the fact that they are novels and not technically data content?
I mean, yeah, they're trying to explain what's going on. The problem is, apparently, if that entry is to go off of what most of these entries will be like, they can't even properly explain it, since the story itself even admits, well, we don't know why the Nazgul went after Gollum. They just did. Roll with it.
Well, again, at the base would be just because, Gollum is not the type of creature that that Sauron was expecting to be in Mordor, so that would raise suspicion. It's just that the whole we just don't know just feels odd that there's a place to put it in.
It's literally this game's equivalent of we don't know, I don't know yet.
What I mean is that it's not even a case where they need to add an extra line, just instead remove one.
Yeah.
That is honestly a good point. I wouldn't have really had as much an issue if the story didn't go out of its way to say, well, we don't know. It's like, don't even draw attention to it. Like,
it reminds me of the ending of Lilo and Stitch 2, where Stitch just magically comes back to life with the power of love, and then when they question about how is this possible, and the movie's answer basically amounts to I don't know.
I mean, you had to guess it's played more for comedy, though, right?
It is, Tail. But when you have a big sad death scene that makes you think Stitch is dead, and then suddenly he just magically comes back to life, you might want to have an explanation for that, maybe at least.
Okay, maybe I misread that.
It did work in Bambi too, just that's what I wanted to know, the context.
Maybe I'm misreading that scene, but that felt like it was supposed to be the big heartfelt moment as opposed to comedic.
Sure. Well,
for me anyway.
Well, whatever. Let's focus on that because we got all the tags.
Woo!
The Lord of the Rings. Watch Gollum stringing around cattle and collecting tax from corpses. The excitement. Can you believe the excitement of Middle Earth, ladies and gentlemen? We could be seeing a war going on, but fuck that shit. Let's watch.
To be fair, again, if you want to make a story about Gollum, big epic scope is not what you're gonna get. Period.
Oh sure, I'm mostly joking. So.
But still, the point is that they probably should have made it work better because again, the idea behind it is that what this is going through, as we will also see later, because I think Pedro hasn't got to that point yet. Again, this first major part of the game will be spent, Gollum as a prisoner, and then another portion will be once he actually manages to escape from Thranduil. Amusingly enough, I can give this to you straight away, Jova. We don't get to see technically, we do get to see how he got there, but the book reason, which is actually told how he got in there, as in Aragorn manages to actually capture him for once, is not in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
No idea. It's not even a case that they remember in some of the previous games. Aragorn was not there because Viggo Mortensen refused to appear, and they did not even use his likeness. But this is not really constrained by movie appearances or anything. So I don't know.
And
Beats the hell out of me.
I mean, again, it's the Tolkien verse. Now, granted, I know that doesn't require it to follow the books to the letter, since Tolkien verse is essentially anything that ain't Jackson
You
verse.
still see what
but
I
it
mean,
does.
Bonjova. Again, the fact that despite having to be based more on the book, it's still doing a lot of original stuff that makes it its own thing, meaning that it's not really that much of an adaptation for book enjoyers. Sure. A lot of the stuff that happens in VR, I can tell you because I know the majority of the plot, is something that, similar to Shadow turning into a human, theoretically it's stuff that makes sense that it could have happened, and just because we're not told doesn't mean that it's illogical that it would have happened. But because of the way they're presented and the lack of enjoyment that gives you playing the game between the glitches and the weird platforming that you have to do, that's what essentially takes you away, because it creates the effect that Pedro was mentioning, I mentioned several times about you starting to see the strings of the puppets and not enjoy anymore the story the play as a result.
Yeah.
So in that regard, Tio, do you think maybe they should make like a third brand line for like a little in-betweenish sort of thing?
Not really, it's just a matter of, again, like I mentioned towards the end of Shadow Wardrobe, the Lord of the Rings is not really something that is suited with the whole alternate universes, a la like what happens with DC Comics, or in more disturbing capacity the Undertale fan community. So it's just a matter of the fact that they're just a matter of the look.
It's probably
if it's more based around the look is made more around the Jackson movies, chances are it's actually connected to that. Otherwise, it's his own thing.
Well, remember, the reason that the branding thing came about was essentially just so that anything that they didn't want to be connected to the Jacksonverse would be put under the Tolkienverse title. So in that regard, do you think maybe the Tolkienverse could have just have been like, settled with a better, more general name that doesn't suggest it's
My
strictly
point,
to the
Rob, is
books?
that it doesn't really matter. It's not that deep.
Oh, I get that. But again, they made a big deal about
so
this being
apparently his name is King Ahmad.
Again, like I said, it's not that important, but judging by the name and everything, it's probably one of the rulers of the Eastern Human Kingdoms, which, like he said, either became subjected to Sauron via corruption, via money, because they bribed them via mercenary work, or got subjugated. So it's one of those things of even if it's a complete original character, they kind of bother to try to fit in with the chronology.
As for what you were saying, Teo, that's the thing. Okay, see, yeah, like you yourself said, obviously a Gollum game is not going to be like Shadow of Mordor, obviously. But here's the thing: if you're going to make a Gollum game, you should probably focus on something involving a more puzzle-driven game. Or how about this? Like, Gollum is, of course, a character that would have to use his brain to get out of nasty situations, unlike brute force. So it would make more sense to make this game very point-and-clicky and adventure-y and puzzle-driven like a certain other series that this developer has made before, right? But instead, they focus the game on jumping and and climbing. And what the fuck was that just now with the visuals right there? Like, seriously, can this game please go more than 5 seconds without flashing me with something? Okay. Also, why the hell is his beard not obeying gravity? Like,
It's like I mentioned, either he had a ton of hair gel in, which I doubt, or his beard is frigid solid.
Also,
God-
and again,
What they call him Zygo?
Unreal Engine 4 has always had a nasty habit in with hair texturing. I rarely have seen a case where they work out, as well. So,
Well, even
God damn it, game. I'm trying to bring some sense into you. Please, just calm down for a moment.
Maybe they think it's him who's like Barnes in the tower. Alas, there is only one way into the Tower of Light. The one that our sick friend Darimon took today.
Are you supposed to be like our Count of Monte Cristo old guy in the prison cell allegory there, old man?
Probably. That's probably what they're going for.
He tried to find plans for the
Again, look at his beard. His beard. Literally,
I'm sorry.
his beard is literally might as well be a fucking stick that's glued to his chin.
if you want a guess, I get the idea during testing, doing whatever testing they did, that he was supposed to actually behave normally, but it was constantly clipping through his chest, so they actually used that instead.
Ah, yes, a AAA budget indeed. Not.
Indeed. But yeah, like I was saying, this game would have been better served by making it a simpler, more point-and-clicky style puzzle-driven game, because that's what this developer excels at. And yet, for whatever reason, they didn't think of doing that.
Punished Gollum.
Yeah, basically. Alright, let's go.
Moving on.
So what boring chore do you have next for me, game?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not endeared with this location, and kind of already
Java?
starting to get bored with it.
Jova, in that case, you're not gonna like it because we're gonna be here for a while. This is Gollum, Jova. Bend over.
Look, I'm an optimist by nature, but I'm also a realist. So,
I see what you did there.
I'm realistic about what to be optimistic about. This has not been giving me the best signs. And look, I'll say this: even if this is miraculously one of those games that starts off crap but somehow becomes amazingly better, one, that's showing the general consensus, and two, this is a pretty bad start.
Look, seriously, look how bad his model looks. Jesus.
I'm sorry, if first impressions are, integral, this game would probably be dead by some people's standards.
Also, the Frail Man's hair is shining.
Okay, the game does not look well. My eyes feel like they should be filing a restraining order against the visuals in this game. The flickering and glitching visually is just terrible, and that's just the visuals. The game, from what we've seen, does not function well. The controls suck, and that's when they work, mind you. And sometimes the game won't even let you backtrack, apparently, in a place that doesn't make any sense.
The music is also incredibly boring, and I don't even notice it most of the time.
Like I said, mostly ambient.
Most fun I've gotten out of this game is seeing other people tear it to bits or try to play through it. I can't really see myself having fun with it.
So now you take a redstone, and I have to crawl into the tunnel to detonate the barrel. So basically there's some explosive barrels out there that we have to detonate. That's basically it.
You could also maybe try and use this moment to build up more of the character between Gollum and the old man. Just saying.
Gotta love how there's no such thing as a collision system in this game. You can literally go for the fucking lever at all times that you want.
Oh my god, this might very well be modern day Superman 64. Christ.
See, there's only wondering, everybody, why am I recording this game?
Wait, hold on. There's no vines on that. How are you supposed to know you can climb that wall?
It's jagged compared
it's
to the
jagged.
rocks nearby.
That's the
and
thing.
Also, there's this beam of light that shines on it.
I want to still give credit to something that Jova says too. Because while it is true what you just said, there's going to be moments later in the game where I will argue it's not as obvious. But we'll get to it when we get to it. So yeah, audience, you might be wondering, why am I recording this game since I don't usually do the Lord of the Rings stuff? Well, that's because, as you guys know already from my previous runs in this channel, I'm into these kinds of games. I like these kinds of games. And the idea of a Gollum game, for me at least, sounded interesting, even as someone who is not as knowledgeable as the rest of the guys, right? Of course, there was also the fact that this game turned out to be a piece of shit that also piqued my curiosity to see if maybe it could lead to a fun playthrough. And yeah, that's basically it.
I recall Pedro, when he was recording this, told us that it didn't seem that bad until he got to like the second or third part of recording, and then he came back to report that actually it is that bad.
It's one of those things where like at first I was just like, okay, this is not great by any means, but then the more I went into the game, the more the glitches started to annoy me, and the more I started to realize how badly designed this game is. But we'll get to it when we get to it.
And I think the frustrating thing is, again, maybe it gets better, but so far the game has been failing on almost every angle. The visuals and the story and the gameplay. The only thing I'd say that works so far is the voice acting, and well, I mean, it's not like the dialogue has been that plentiful, but credit where credit is due, I don't think the voice actors are necessarily doing a bad job.
One thing I find interesting about the marketing of this game is how they even market the untold story of Gollum in this specific bit, like as if this is the Metal Gear Rising, and by that I mean OG concept Metal Gear Rising of the Lord of the Rings, like the untold story of what Gollum has been doing during this period that you've never seen. It turns out there's a good reason why this story has remained untold up until now, because
Boring.
Like, honestly, you know what I feel like about this game? This game feels like a side mode of a bigger, more proper game, as opposed to being something that is supposed to facilitate its own game.
Alright. And yeah, but yeah, like to expand what I was saying to Teo earlier, that's the thing. This game, as you're seeing right now, is not really puzzle driven. There's not really any puzzles you have to solve. It's just go here, do this, go here, do that. That's all it is. You're just going places, doing fetch quests and chores for people. That's why it's boring. I'm not. It's not so much that. Obviously I don't expect this game to play like Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, obviously, but it should still have something interesting in it, but it doesn't. It's boring even on its own terms. Remember, I'm the yeah. Remember, I'm a huge fan of Death Stranding, which in practice is a game where you just go from one side of the field to the other side of the field. The thing is, this game, on the other hand, unlike Death Stranding, doesn't have anything interesting in said journey that happens. It's just you walk towards the destination marker, do the thing, and then you come back. Do, rinse, repeat. That's all this game is.
You know, when the game isn't crashing upon itself, it's kind of boring, too.
It is. This game is not particularly interesting, like, at all. Like, even like the writing, like, even if you're like a big Lord of the Rings aficionado who desperately needs to see what has Gollum been doing during this time, turns out what he's been doing all this time has not exactly been all that interesting, from what I'm seeing here.
Time in jail for something the Nazgul arrested him for.
He sneezed on Sauron's, I don't know, thingy.
I find it interesting. I find it interesting. Like that they thought this was a good idea. Did any of the previous materials state that Gollum was trapped in here doing chores for days on end? Does it say specifically that too?
No, but it's like he said, similar to stuff like Cheryl being turned into a human. It's suspension of disbelief of stuff that easily could have happened. Not even Gandalf and Frodo, if you forgot from the dialogue of Fellowship of the Ring, know exactly if Gollum was actually, he did manage to escape on his own or was just left free to go, on his own.
And now you spend the next 5 minutes following this slow old man around.
I'll say this, like, I wouldn't mind.
At the very least, you can move at your own pace instead of just forcing to be walking.
But that's the thing too. You have
to follow behind him.
You can't move even if you go ahead of him. You can't move. You have to wait for him to get there. So you might as well walk at his pace.
I guess I will take 20. Okay, I will take 10% over 5. I guess.
Go ahead, Dibs.
Like,
You were going to say something, Dibs?
Not really.
Okay, go on then. Go on then, Jova.
Although one thing I will say, okay, there are many places in Lord of the Rings that
What the hell was that? Sorry, Dibs, go on.
That could there are many places in Lord of the Rings that could translate pretty well to a video game. A bunch of caves under Mordor where everything looks the same. Not it.
Well, Matthias hinted we might go to other locations, but again, we've been here for 2 days now in story, and I am already checking out of the prison stuff, I'll be honest.
My bad.
But,
See, the thing about that bit there is that you're supposed to use the long jump, as I just demonstrated, by trying to get to cover that distance with a normal jump. But you have very little ground to cover, and remember, you have to first run and then press X. So, and since there's so few space here, I didn't press X in time. There you go. There you go. Now I did it. Go on.
anyway, like, to be fair, I probably wouldn't even really have much of an issue with this area if they made the narrative or the gameplay interesting enough to make any area
Game, for fuck's sake, can you please work? Go on.
I swear to God, taking a drinking game every time this game glitches would pretty much be a death sentence.
I don't want a zoom in on Gollum's ass, okay? Please, no. Go on.
What's that for fan service?
Can we get back to playing MGS4? Like, go on, Shoba.
But no, it's just, I'm sorry, like, okay. If the game were actually interesting with anything from the game...
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry, Job, I have to comment on that line. What's that? I smell incompetence. Are you talking about Gollum or the game?
I think he was talking about this guy instead.
They can all three be true, too. Go on, Jova.
If they made some interesting story actually going on, it wouldn't feel like our time is being wasted as much as it does.
Every single time. Yeah, please tell us your secrets, Frail Man.
Dwarves I mentioned earlier.
Oh.
They told me something once. Those buildings up there above the bridge, see? He had to build them. Dangerous work. But after a while, he knew where the guards watch. He'd steal redstones and hide them in a cave near the bridge. Just one stone each day, so the guards wouldn't notice.
Why?
God.
Why do you think?
That's something... Whoa! Gollum's graphics flickered again.
Like I said, the game feels like it's holding
You
itself
see?
together
Look at...
with...
How am I supposed to pay attention to the fucking story if the characters keep flickering?
I don't know how it works specifically for Unreal Engine 4, but that kind of effect usually happens, particularly again for the Source Engine or Valve, when the texturing of something like particularly hair is applied in a cutscene effect frame by frame. I don't know the logistics of that, but if you follow anyone who works with Source Filmmaker, they will tell you that it's something similar to that.
Okay, so we can either threaten him, beg, or give him the bread that basically we got bread, but he's trying to take it from us. I've decided that I'm going to give him the bread so he won't beat me up. However, don't worry, we do plan on taking revenge on this guy later.
Little Gollum shares.
Go on.
Like, okay, stuff like models flickering, that's not unheard of in other games. The thing is, normally when that happens, that's like a blue event or a very blink and you'll miss it moment. It doesn't happen typically frequently like it is in this game.
Alright. Follow the Frail Man.
Days later. Oh. I guess it's to show that Gollum's psyche is wearing down. Oh wait, no, he's already crazy, so... Okay, how does this affect Gollum as a character? Like, what exactly does this add to his character, being in this jail cell all this time?
Supposedly it's to show how resourceful he is, I guess.
Also encountering different types of species or type of personalities among this journey, because if you just follow the movies or the books, you might give the idea that Gollum always wanted to stay alone, but in this case he's forced into a place where he needs to actually socialize in some degree.
That is actually a nice idea, admittedly. I just wish they did more of it, but to be fair, you are right that this does actually force Gollum to be more sociable.
Again,
usually Gollum's only sociable.
on the whole is to try to give a bit more complexity to the character and see if in case Gollum still decides to do this because he chose to, while having an experience about it rather than, just blatantly design to it.
The issue I have
worse,
is...
please.
Oh, of course, the sewer level. Again, the issue I have, though, is, it's an interesting idea, but so far the game hasn't done much of it. It doesn't feel like Gollum's even forming a bond with the Frail Man. It's just, they talk and do stuff together as opposed to them really feeling like they're developing. Seeing as how... Again, the game is mostly focused on you just doing this or that mission as opposed to building up on the narrative. Especially since... my dudes, didn't you capture Gollum to get the info you might want out of him? Why aren't you interrogating him more instead of just putting him to work like this?
Well, man, they interrogated him in the movie.
But again, supposedly getting info out of him is the reason the Nazgul captured him. Brought him here.
Hey, I got a good one for you. Smeagol turns to Gollum and is like, "Why is our body flickering, precious?"
I'm just trying to think of what the response would be.
Because this game sucks, my love.
because the precious is actually because there's a residual effect of the precious. Even though we take it off, the body vanishes still.
Okay, yeah, the lighting definitely feels off here, I'm sorry.
Turns out I was supposed to fall there.
No,
And then
you
you-
are supposed to fall.
Which was a bit weird. I don't think if the game conveyed that, I missed it because
The water is so murky.
I know, right? Every time
Shit,
that's the thing too. That's the thing too. This game has a diving system for when you're swimming, but I have yet to find a situation where you actually use
Okay.
this.
I will be very generous in describing this as water because as the Frail Man talked about this is not exactly crystal clear.
Indeed. Oh well, guys, time to herd in more cattle.
The rattler, so far away.
It's also we can get to the Rattler, like we said. And now there's sometimes these moments where the game will basically, have the camera will pan in over the course of the levels to give you a basic idea of what the path is, basically.
Okay, I assume that all that red stuff is supposed to be blood, but some of it looks a little hilarious with just how much blood is pasted in very odd places that don't even make sense.
So yeah, apparently the fence trapping these guys is useless.
I mean, to be fair, it's technology done by orcs in Mordor and by their slaves. I can believe that. Whoa, the ragdoll.
Far away.
I get the feeling Gollum doesn't like to bring up this part of his history.
You know what? I said it as a joke in our Shadow of War playthrough, but at this point I genuinely believe that the orcs deserve to be exterminated.
Oh, not all of them.
They
as
deserve
we learned.
better in general.
Yeah.
Alright, everybody. Tune in next time where, I guess we'll keep doing more chores.
Try to find the rattler.
Yeah, see you then.
On we go then. Ta-ta.